As the world stood still outside Buckingham Palace, young Jimmy's innocent wink to the royal guard spiraled into chaos. The guard, on the brink of disciplinary action, found unexpected redemption through the boy's heartfelt plea. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. Let's delve into this heartwarming tale. The vibrant streets of London were alive with the rhythm of bustling footsteps and the hum of eager anticipation, as both locals and tourists converged beneath the opulent gates of Buckingham Palace. The golden-trimmed ironwork stood as a regal barrier between the ordinary world and the mystique of royal life, its grandeur inspiring awe and reverence. Amidst the crowd that gathered to witness the majestic spectacle of the changing of the guard, a small figure could be seen, craning his neck to get a better view of the preceding ritual. 8-year-old Jimmy Jenkins, with his tousled brown hair and earnest eyes, was a regular at these ceremonial events. For him, observing the stern and inscrutable expressions of the royal guards had become more than just a pastime. It was a portal into a world of discipline and grandeur, far removed from the normalcy of his school routines and comic books. Yet today, an adventurous energy coursed through the young boy's veins, urging him to break the invisible wall that separated spectators from the stoic figures in crimson tunics and tall bearskin hats. As the guards' formation moved with synchronized precision, the air brimming with a sense of ceremony and age-old traditions, Jimmy found his gaze settled upon one guard in particular. The guard's stoic demeanor was a remarkable contrast to the lively curiosity that danced in Jimmy's eyes. It was as if the young boy saw something behind the guard's granite facade, a hint of something relatable, something human. Driven by an impish curiosity, Jimmy cast a quick, playful wink in the direction of the resolute sentinel. It was a small gesture, almost invisible beneath the sun-dappled expanse of the palace forecourt. However, in that simple act, there lay a spark, a daring reach across the roles of observer and performer, a bridge from childhood innocence to adult duty. To Jimmy's sheer wonderment, and perhaps a little delight, the guard's lips twitched in a sudden, unguarded response. It was barely perceptible, a ripple in the sea of protocol and formality, but unmistakably there. The moment was fleeting yet profound, like a single note in a symphony that resonates far beyond its cadence. The boy's heart soared with a triumphant elation that was as vivid and immediate as the moment, leaving an indelible mark on his young soul. This brief, imperceptible break in the guard's austerity became a secret shared silently between them, a testament to the shared humanity that exists beneath roles and uniforms. Through this unspoken exchange, Jimmy sensed a narrative unfurling, one that transcended the barriers between them, a whispered reminder that even the most vigilant of exteriors can conceal a heart capable of warmth, humor, and connection. Every afternoon, as the sun began its slow descent over the grand silhouette of Buckingham Palace, young Jimmy Jenkins would wiggle himself free from the grip of his curious family, eager to find his way back to the palace gates. This ritual had woven itself into the fabric of his days, each visit filled with the singular anticipation of encountering Officer Mark Bennet, the royal guard who had just once allowed the sternness of tradition to falter in favor of a fleeting human connection. The bustling environment of tourists snapping photographs, street vendors hawking their customary souvenirs, and the stiff choreography of the palace guards usually enveloped Jimmy in a world of dark uniforms and shiny buttons. But amidst this orchestrated routine, Jimmy's presence became a bright thread of innocence that offered unexpected respite for Officer Bennet. Each of Jimmy's visits infused a moment of joy into the heavy undertones of Mark's days that had recently been shadowed by the knowledge of his mother battling a severe illness. Confronted by the prospect of loss, Mark found himself struggling to maintain the unyielding facade required by his duty. Yet in those snippets of time when their world of decorum met with Jimmy's playful spirit, the weight upon Mark's shoulders seemed to lighten. The simple gestures, an impish wink, a shy smile, carried a profound power. They transformed from mere childish antics into small lifelines, reassuring Mark that somewhere beneath the military composure there were softer emotions he could still hold on to. Jimmy's presence was a reminder of the world outside the rigid lines he had vowed to march within each day, a world where innocence persisted, unencumbered by the harsh realities that often clouded adult responsibilities. As the days unfurled, Jimmy's confidence grew, emboldened by Mark's subtle, almost imperceptible nods of acknowledgement. He began to await the interaction, eyes wide with an eagerness tinged with the unwavering hope only a child could possess. What had begun as an innocent game slowly blossomed into an unspoken promise, a silent assurance that each needed the other more than words could express. Onlookers witnessed this peculiar bond between the royal guard and the small boy with keen interest, but the true depth of their connection remained a heartfelt secret shared only by the protagonists themselves. Gradually, the intricacies of Mark's measured composure and Jimmy's carefree light converged at this unlikely crossroad, a narrative that defied the staunch formalities of the setting. It was here, in these brief but profound exchanges, that Mark discovered respite from his inner turmoil. In the knowing glance of a bright-eyed boy, tangled connections weaved across their worlds. Through Jimmy's eyes, Mark saw the kindness that still thrived, unaffected by sorrow or duty, and in turn, Jimmy found a hero inscribed within the lines etched on a guardian's steadfast face. The afternoon sun cast a golden hue over Buckingham Palace, illuminating the immaculately groomed lawns and the imposing facade with its intricate carvings and rococo grandeur. Tourists milled about, chattering animatedly in a variety of languages, their cameras clicking incessantly as they attempted to capture the essence of British regality. Amidst this picturesque scene stood young Jimmy Jenkins, his eyes scanning the ranks of dutiful guards, searching for the familiar face that had become the highlight of his visits. His anticipation was palpable, an emotion reserved solely for these brief interactions that transcended the mundane reality of his 8-year-old life. However, today was different. The air buzzed with a subtle tension, a deviation from the usual tranquility that enveloped the grounds. The source soon became evident. A cluster of guards stood in animated conversation, their voices low but intense, the subject of their discussion none other than Officer Mark Bennett, Jimmy's newfound hero. In contrast to his usual unflappable demeanor, Mark stood with a slightly bowed head, the stoic mask of duty slipping to reveal an undertone of vulnerability. Jimmy, with his child's perceptiveness, sensed that something was amiss. His heart, resplendent with the uncomplicated loyalty of youth, propelled him forward through the crowd, his small stature barely causing a ripple amidst the adult bodies. The onlookers parted slightly, a natural corridor forming to allow the child passage. As Jimmy approached, the conversation paused, glances flickering towards this unexpected interruption. Standing before the guards, Jimmy seemed an unlikely advocate, diminutive compared to the towering figures clad in their ceremonial garb, with expressions more accustomed to adhering to protocol than to negotiation with children. Yet there was power in his earnestness, a simplicity that cut through the complexity of the situation. "Excuse me, sirs," Jimmy began, his voice unwavering despite the intimidating audience. "Officer Bennett is my friend. He's really nice, and he makes people like me happy every day. He's not just a guard, he makes this place feel special." The weight of his words hung in the air, the raw sincerity of his plea creating a pause pregnant with potential. The guards exchanged looks, the hypothetical cloud of reprimand hovering ominously but beginning to dissipate in the warmth of understanding. Mark's superior, who had been poised to exercise the traditional rigidity of royal duty, found himself confronted by a different kind of presence, a child's truth, unadorned and resonant with authenticity. It was in Jimmy's heartfelt advocacy that the situation saw transformation. Here was a reminder not of protocol, but of the very essence of humanity that oftentimes was obscured by the demands of duty. This small, earnest voice had penetrated the veneer of formality, invoking a gentle reassessment of what it meant to serve and protect. Beneath the disciplined exteriors lay hearts moved by the simplicity of kindness. And in that moment, Officer Mark Bennett was not just a soldier of the Crown, but a part of something much more profound, a testament to the unexpected and beautiful power of connection. As the shadows lengthened into the late afternoon and the crowds of the palace began to thin, a distinct sense of calm settled over the gates. The bright sunlight, filtered through intermittent patches of clouds, cast a gentle glow over the somber gray stones of the palace, lending the scene a surreal serenity that contrasted beautifully with the events that had just transpired. Jimmy Jenkins, an 8-year-old charmer with wide, inquisitive eyes, had unintentionally orchestrated a moment of profound impact by daring to step forward, his small voice breaking the stoic silence typically maintained by the royal guards. The unexpected outcome of Jimmy's innocent intervention was a revelation. Mark Bennett, the once reprimanded guard, was absolved from any formal consequences. Instead of facing disciplinary action for what was perceived as a minor breach of protocol, Mark found himself at the center of an unscripted lesson in empathy, leading to an earnest dialogue among the guards and their superiors. The unexpected sincerity of an innocent child had cast a spotlight on the rigid interplay of duty and humanity, compelling an impromptu reflection on the very essence of their roles. The superiors, initially poised to enforce the regulations without hesitation, found themselves captivated by Jimmy's honest words, which echoed with a simplicity and clarity that was hard to ignore. His earnest explanation of how the stoic yet warm moments shared with Officer Bennett had colored his world with joy and expectation transformed the atmosphere from one of tension to one of introspection and camaraderie. These seasoned officers recalled that behind their stern exteriors, they were humans first, deserving and capable of warmth and kindness, even in a duty as ceremonially strict as theirs. Word of the compassionate exchange quickly permeated the intricate corridors of the palace and seeped into the heart of every guard on duty. Jimmy and Mark unwittingly became the ambassadors of a newfound understanding, reminding the palace staff that behind every rigid salute and stern facade lay the capacity for empathy and connection. The palatial gates became more than just a threshold of royalty. They transformed into a beacon of humanity, suggesting a broader potential for kindness even amidst unwavering duty. To commemorate the remarkable friendship that blossomed so organically, Mark Bennett decided to gift young Jimmy a small royal emblem, an insignia no larger than the palm of Jimmy's hand. It was a cherished token, embodying the warmth of their friendship and serving as a tangible memory of the day that altered perceptions and softened hearts. This heartwarming narrative, birthed from a simple yet powerful interaction, echoed far beyond the gates, weaving a story of hope and change. It encouraged all who heard it to look past the textbook decorum and into the genuine depths of friendship and human connection, essentially redefining what it truly meant to wear the royal uniform.